do 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 do. What is happening? Okay. Um. Oh snap! All right. Oh, what is happening, party people? It's your boy, Coach Sean, in the building. We are here for another live. I am not here for that. I don't want a game here. Add source, camera. Uh, add. Oh, I just saw it flash. Hold on. Think we getting somewhere. Uh, do 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 do. Yeah, I want to hide that, and I want that to be there, and then the mic situation. How do I change the mic situation though? I guess is the question. Y'all give me a second. I'm out here trying to uh trying to get something set up here. Ooh. All right. What's happening, party people? Welcome in. I appreciate you a ton for joining this live. It's your boy Coach Sean. If you're unfamiliar with me, I am a faith-based relationship coach here to help others build healthier, happier, and whole relationships with themselves, God, and others while building security that lasts beyond marriage. All right. And this is another episode of the Secure Show. And we're trying something a little different today. But it's all gonna be worth it. Do me a favor as you're coming into this live, all right. Um, be sure to number one, drop your life satisfaction rate on a scale of 1 to 10. All right. And then two, where are you watching from? And be sure to answer the question. What is wrong with dating today? Over on YouTube. Answer the question. Um, and let's unpack it together. This is a live Q&A session. All right. Um, I'm just trying to get this mic situated and then I'll be ready to go. Uh okay, this is that. My video settings are too high, so check automatic. Okay. Figuring that out. Um Again, man, we've had some really good conversations over on this channel for quite a few days, quite a few weeks now. And we're just building on it. More Q&A and more conversation and connection with you all. And I'm excited to do that. Okay. Um, we're gonna do that. Audio. Okay. No audio found. Okay. So that's what y'all have. Y'all have that as that. So then that don't work. Is that what they telling me? Y'all give me 1 second. I know I did. Real Tech and then Real Tech high definition audio. This is this Real Tech? Y'all help me out. I don't know. I feel so old, but I shouldn't. Speakers, speakers. Default device. When background music is also played through the speaker, echoes may occur during your live. So that's the monitoring device. That's clearly that. Again, what's happening, everybody? Welcome into today's live stream. It's your boy, Coach Sean. I'm getting some stuff set up on this Tiki real quick because I cannot seem to get another mic going, and it is different. Um, it would make so much sense if I had that, but I don't have it. I don't think I have it, and it's unfortunate. Uh, y'all give me 1 second. Let me go see if I can. All right, and we back. It's all right. We're gonna have to roll with it. We're gonna have to roll with it. I'm gonna go live. I am going to go live. What is happening? What's up, your local ducky? How are you, man? Be sure to drop your life satisfaction rate on a scale of 1 to 10. Where are you at? How are you feeling? Um, be sure where are you watching this from? And be sure to answer today's question. If you're in the dating space, if you're familiar with it, all right. Be sure to do that. And we'll go from there. Yep. All right. To be honest, TikTok, I don't know how this gonna sound. I don't know how this is gonna sound. You're a 7 out of 10. Why not an 8? What's going on? What's going on? Talk to me. What would make it an 8? What's gotten you to a 7? What would make it an 8? Um, what is happening, TikTok? Welcome in. I appreciate y'all a ton for being a part of this live. It is your boy, Coach Sean, and I am excited to be in this live with you for another day and another opportunity to just continue talking about all things security. All right. Welcome to the Secure Show. And this is a platform where we have safe conversations designed for us to be able to build healthier, happier, and whole relationships with yourself, with God, and with others while building security that lasts beyond marriage. And this is going to be a fun time. I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time though. So be sure to drop your questions. This is a live Q&A. And all things pertaining to your relationship, all right? And not just your relationship romantically, but relationships in your life. Okay? Believe it or not, I see things through so many different lenses when it comes to relationships. And one of the things that I'm noticing is there's a lot of people that are carrying strong relationships with anxiety. And I want to talk a little bit about that today as we just have some conversation and open up the floor for some Q&A. So as you're coming in, drop your location. Where are you watching this from? And then what is your life satisfaction rate on a scale of 1 to 10? All right. What is your life satisfaction rate on a scale of 1 to 10? And where are you watching this from? What's up, everybody walking into the TikTok chat? What's up, Ness? Carmu Soul, Sifawi. What's up, user over there on YouTube? Good to see you. Local Ducky says they're 7 out of 10. Yeah, your YouTube crashed. It's all good. What has got you to a 7 out of 10, and what would make it an 8 out of 10? Tell me a little bit about that. Thank y'all so much for the love, the likes, and coming through. Answer the question on the YouTube chat. I have a Q&A up here. Okay. What is wrong with dating today? Answer that for me. Okay. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know what you're feeling. I want to know what you're seeing. I want to know what you're experiencing. That'll help me to be able to speak to you and speak to others who are experiencing something similar, but also take some time to be able to help where you are to get closer to where you want to be. All right. Um, Again, shout out to all the love and the likes in the TikTok chat. And we were talking about this. We've had some really good conversations. Shout out to Jenna in the building. Thank you so much. And the daily heart me. Let's go. Let's go. Hopefully y'all can hear me clearly. I don't have a mic set up, I guess. On TikTok at least. I do for YouTube, just not TikTok. So hopefully y'all can hear me clearly. Put a one in the chat if y'all can hear me decently. Let me know. So that way I can fix something if I need to. What's up, everybody over on YouTube? Appreciate you. Sound is good. Great, great. Okay. Um, so I really want to deal with something really quickly as we got some time here. Not sure if I got time for Q&A. I do have a session I have to be at in like 30 minutes. It's been a busy day, but a good day nonetheless. Two sessions down, one to go. They've all been fantastic. But I'm noticing a trend um, in these spaces where when we talk about relationships and we talk about building security that lasts beyond marriage, something I've been sharing with so many people is that there's so many things through the lens of my teaching and systems and things that I create here, and where we view things through the lens of relationships. Everything that you have in your life, believe it or not, you have a relationship with. Okay. Even if it's something that is minimal, something that's materialistic, something that isn't as prioritized, there is still a relationship that is experienced. And we want to get to the place of kind of acknowledging some relationships we have that need to actually have an ending, relationships that need to have an ending. And one of the things that I'm noticing is that in this space, we need to have some endings and some relational endings with anxiety and rejection. Now, I'm not necessarily speaking to the idea of relational relationship with anxiety as those who may have some legitimate, anxiety diagnoses, okay, from doctors and all those kinds of things, and you really got to work through those things. I'm talking about anxiety from a place of trying to always be in a place of control. Okay. Um, and since these streams are going to be now really centered and focused on outcome driven, that's going to lead the way to keep some high pace in these conversations. Okay. Secure people are not absent of anxiety. I want that to be known. Secure people are not absent of anxiety. Just because you are more secure now than you've ever been doesn't mean anxiety cannot show up in your life. And it doesn't mean because anxiety shows up in your life, that means that you are not secure. What it means is you're human. Okay. What it means is you're human. And with that, we have to learn how to build a healthy rhythm, being somebody in a secure lane to navigate and ride the waves that anxiety tries to create about things that haven't happened or things that once happened that we're afraid of repeating. And the biggest difference between people who have relationships with anxiety, okay, from anxious places, and people who are secure who experience anxiety is that anxiety is actually something that is an experience or a moment or something that we are focused on instead of something that we are molding our identity after. The difference between people who are secure who experience anxiety and people who are not secure experiencing anxiety is the literal focus regarding anxiety. The person that is insecure or the person that is lacking security but is experiencing anxiety identifies with anxiety. I'm just an anxious person and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just an anxiously filled individual and it is what it is. When someone who is secure is experiencing anxiety, it doesn't mean that the moment doesn't come and go. What it means is I'm experiencing an anxious moment. I had an anxious thought, and my focus decided, or I decided to shift my focus from lack to abundance. The focus that is placed with people who are experiencing anxiety is the biggest difference between overcoming it and being buried by it. It's the difference between living through it and over identifying with it. It's the focus. If you constantly rehearse to yourself that you are an anxious filled person and anxiety is something that you cannot get away from, get from out under, if you constantly rehearse that, that will become a reality that is just as real to you as gravity, just as real to you as the screen that is in front of you, just as real to you as the ground that is underneath your feet. However, when you acknowledge anxiety is present, yes, Encounter XA, I am answering relationship advice. If you have a question, drop it in the chat. I'll gladly help. When you are experiencing anxiety, okay, and it's just a passing moment, we acknowledge it for what it is and we reshape our vision, our view, our story, reframe the experience to more of abundance. I'm going to explain this in a faster way. How do we explain? How do we reframe? Okay. How do we reframe anxiety in a way that's beneficial and in abundance? Well, let's back up for a second and define what anxiety really is. Anxiety at the core is fear. I want y'all to write that down if you're taking notes. You probably should get used to coming to my lives now and taking some notes. We going to be in and out of here. It's going to be quick. If you want to watch the replay, it'll be up on my YouTube. Go subscribe and be sure to check it out. Okay? The root of anxiety is fear. And when we're moving and living in fear, fear doesn't just have a way of convincing you that what once happened is bound to happen again. Fear also has a way of creating futures that have yet to become. I'm going to say that again. Fear doesn't just convince you in one way or another that what happened in your past is bound to happen again. Fear also creates things that have yet to be. In other words, when you find yourself anxious, oftentimes you are creating stories in your mind towards things that haven't happened. So you're running to various different creations, stories, meanings, experiences that have yet to happen in your reality. And because we are so far deep into that story we created in our mind, it gets difficult for us to differentiate between our reality and fantasy, potential and reality, but mainly reality and fantasy. So, in order to let go of the relationship that we've created with anxiety that has us identifying with it instead of it being an emotion that passes, the way that we have to navigate this is by shifting our view to abundance. The first step that we do in order to do this is by being curious enough to ask ourselves, what story am I creating based on what's happening? You don't do this immediately. However, when you build this muscle by being aware in your day-to-day experiences, You're going to see that a lot of the things that are creating anxiousness in you are just a lot of stories that you've cultivated that don't have any substance, that don't have any ground, that don't have any legitimacies. And it's not until you grow curious enough to question those that you slow down enough to realize what I'm anxious about isn't even happening. So we have to be able to get into a practice of slowing down instead of constantly speeding up and constantly hurrying. Here's another thing that you have to understand: being secure. Security does not mean that you are absolved from anxiety. Anxiety is a human emotion. Anxiety is an emotion. And anxiety is something that is more so pertaining to a moment, not a lifestyle. Am I making sense so far? Put a one in the chat if I am. If you're following along, put a one in the chat. Okay. Be sure to answer the question in the chat for YouTube. Okay. What is wrong with dating today? Be sure to check that out. Okay. So now that we have an understanding that anxiety is a human emotion and being secure does not mean you're absolved from anxiety, you just know how to navigate anxiety healthily by looking at it as a moment and not over identifying with it. One of the biggest things that you're going to learn as it pertains to growing in this sense of security and rhythm so that you don't cling to anxiety, but you live beyond it. One of the biggest things is learning how to ride the wave. Secure people do not drown by their emotions. They learn how to surf their emotions. I'm giving y'all game. I'm giving y'all game. We're going to come back to rejection in a minute and see how they both correlate, because remember, fear is at the core of anxiety, and we'll soon see how the same emotion is at the fear of rejection as well. Which is why a lot of you who identify having fear of rejection, it's not that you actually fear rejection. You fear how rejection will make you feel, because you don't know exactly what's going to happen in the event of somebody telling you no. You fear you will not handle rejection healthily. That's the difference. Okay. So, how do we surf these emotions? Well, I'm just telling you, secure people know how to surf them and surf them well. We've talked about this before in previous lives, but I'm going to give it to you really quickly. Okay. As a reference to what we're about to say after. Okay. Which I think is going to be really, really helpful. All right. Number one, how we surf them is that we have to we have to live in honesty, which is seeing and surrendering. Okay. Number one, in order to surf emotions as a secure individual, I have to see and surrender. What does see and surrender mean? I have to be honest about the experience. I have to be honest about the moment, be honest about what I'm feeling, be honest about what's happening. If we cannot live in honesty, if we cannot live in truth, then we will never progress past what anxiety is creating. If we cannot live in honesty and we cannot live in truth, we cannot get past what anxiety is creating. Which means that if we fail to live in fullness of truth of what is happening, where we are, and what we're experiencing, then we might as well give up on the entire process, because the foundation is actually not built on something that's sustainable. The foundation is very shaky. Okay. That's kind of like going to a court, going to the courtroom and defending a case that is a complete lie. We have nothing to go off of. Nothing. We're just winging it and hoping they find somebody guilty. Well, I don't want you to be my lawyer. So I need you to go on somewhere. Okay. But when it comes to being secure and learning how to ride these waves, honesty is the best medicine. If I can't be honest, I cannot see emotions as information. I cannot see emotions as data. And I cannot give myself permission to move beyond what the current moment may be trying to communicate to me. I have to see and surrender. Just be honest. This is what's happening. This is what was said. This is what's being experienced. This is it. Okay. Then, secondly, we have to unblock. I hope y'all are getting this. When you unblock, you're deteriorating, or I'm sorry, separating the stories that you may initially create when it comes to the anxiousness that is experienced, or the story or the moment that's experienced. Okay. When we unblock, uncensor, uh, you know, remove, you'll realize that a lot of the narratives that are quickly associated to the moment are what you're creating, not what the moment itself is actually creating. Let me give you an example. Okay. You get rejected, since we're talking about anxiety and rejection. The moment, let's see and surrender it, we got rejected. We got told no. Doesn't feel good. Didn't sound good. Maybe wasn't favorable because it wasn't what we wanted. However, we got rejected. All right, cool. The stories that are initially attached to these things sound a lot like I'm not enough. Sounds a lot like I wasn't beautiful enough. I wasn't interesting enough. Sounds like I'll never have another relationship again. Sounds like I'll never actually find what I'm looking for. Sounds like God must not want me dating. Sounds like, you get the picture. There's so many meanings and stories that we're attributing to the rejection. But if we are able to catch them, now we're realizing that the rejection in and of itself. Thank you so much for the Galaxy I Bali. That's probably my first Galaxy I feel like I've ever received. Thank you so much. Shout out to Eyeball in the chat. I appreciate you a ton over there on TikTok. Thank you a ton. I appreciate that. So when we unblock, we're catching the stories. We're catching the stories. If we catch the stories, now we're able to move forward. Okay. Eyeball. I appreciate you, man. What is your name? You call me Grape, so you know me intimately. I'll try to figure out who is Eyeball. I appreciate you a ton. Um, we have to unblock it. And unblocking it doesn't necessarily mean that those stories at first won't show up in your mind. They just mean that as they continue to show up, we got to catch them so we don't derail in them and spiral out of control. So as you start catching yourself, telling yourself from a reactive space, I'm not enough, I won't find a relationship, all the things, as a result of a rejection from something or someone you wanted, maybe this was a sales call, maybe this was a relationship, maybe this was a business adventure, whatever it was, when we catch it, now we recognize I don't have to keep engaging in it. I don't have to keep engaging in this story. I don't have to keep falling in this downward spiral. Now we're realizing, wait, I'm more upset about the stories I've created, not the fact that this person told me no. Doesn't mean that when they told me no, I wasn't feeling the type of way. I'm just realizing I'm feeling more of a type of way because of the stories I've got in my head about what their no means about me. This is top tier. This is top tier. Okay. So now that we're unblocking, now, oh, what's up, Sid? That's amazing. Shout out, Sid. What's up, man? It's so good to see you, man. He made my day. I love you, man. I appreciate you a ton, bro. Not for what you do, but for who you are. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. So good seeing you. So good seeing you. Um, Shout out to Cedric, man. That made my day. So now that we've unblocked it, okay, when we're unblocking it and we're just separating these narratives from all the things we've told ourselves, okay, now we get to a place of releasing and relaxing. This release and relax gives us the ability to, from a state posture, relax ourselves and release the narratives and tension that's created. Okay. Release the narratives and the tension that was created. So now that I realize, man, I'm more upset about the fact that I told myself and rehearsed that I wasn't enough as it relates to this person walking away, rejecting me, saying no to me. Maybe that, I told myself or believed and rehearsed that I wasn't the right fit for this business, for this job, for this opportunity, because who I got on a call with didn't even give me the opportunity to share things, to speak to things, to create or show them things. Okay. Whatever it is. Now we're getting into a place of relaxation and release, and we're just relaxing our body. Take a deep breath. Now we are able to kind of get into a centered place where we can actually get back into alignment and agreement with our beliefs, foundations, thoughts, and getting on the same page. This is important because we've talked about this before, and I've shared this even with clients. Science lets us know that when something is said to us or something is experienced, from an emotional perspective, it takes about maybe roughly 90 seconds for the body to fully adjust and adapt to what was experienced. This doesn't mean that we will have a delayed reaction, 10 out of 10 times. What this does mean, however, is that we are actually experiencing a form of our body registering what's taking place and the hit that we took in mentally, emotionally, maybe even spiritually. So, for example, if somebody sent you a breakup text out of the blue that you weren't expecting, there's probably a lot of moments in that where you're like, what? What do you mean? What happened? Where did this go wrong? And so you're catching up. It's a transition. It kind of knocks the wind out of you. And when it knocks the wind out of you, it gets a little difficult to transition out of. Okay. But your body is still catching up. So when we are getting into this place of release and relax, we're noticing our body posture is responding to the emotions that have cultivated from the stories we told ourselves about the experience we had. So now we're getting centered and relaxed. That's rolling the shoulders. That's lifting the head. That's taking some deep breaths. If you notice in moments where women are giving birth, okay, and this is kind of a weird analogy, but you'll get this. In moments of women giving birth, one of the things that you see often is they're telling you eyes on me and breathe. Why are they saying that to a woman who can't feel anything but her water breaking and a child about to come into this world? The most immeasurable pain that a woman will ever feel. Why is it that the doctor is telling them eyes on me and breathe? The reason why they're saying this is because it's shifting the focus away from the pain in the moment that is causing them to react, hyperventilate, breathe heavily, all the things, and actually find a way to intentionally ground themselves even through the pain that's being experienced. There's a form of relaxation that has to occur in some way for us to be able to shift out of what the initial moment is showing us and shift into where we want to go. So when we release and relax, we're giving ourselves a transition period to come out of a state of thought we were once in about something to now step into a new state of thought that is available. Lack and abundance is everywhere. The one that we focus on is the one that we see most. So when we've locked in on lack from all the stories we rehearsed and now we've caught it and now we're releasing and relaxing our body, relaxing our shoulders, taking a deep breath, all the things, now we get to have fun. That's the F in surf. See and surrender. Unblock. Release, relax. Fun. Fun in a secure lane gives us the ability to recreate the meaning around what we're experiencing. This doesn't mean that we minimize what's happening, y'all. This doesn't mean that we need to sugarcoat, gatekeep, or we need to lie to ourselves about what somebody did. What we are giving ourselves permission is to not allow what they did to now become the centerfold of our identity moving forward. And we do that by having fun. And having fun means I now get to engage in a reframe that allows me to find the abundance in this moment. Even if it's something of even if it's something to a lesser degree, what lesson I got from this, what was the like not even trying to figure out the purpose necessarily. What did I get out of this? What was the win out of this? How do I gain and move forward out of this? Looking at pain through the lens of purpose gives us the ability to have fun in spite of the external not being so favorable. Notice how none of this means that we don't experience emotions. We move emotionless, we move nonchalant, we move like we don't care. It means I'm giving myself permission to ride the wave and engage instead of fully depart. Secure people find a way to surf. And when we find a way to surf, we recognize that the emotion itself is not going to give ourselves permission to be drowned out by it. We're not going to drown out by the stories. We're not going to drown out by the emotions. We're not going to drown out by the experience. We're going to be able to live beyond it. And a lot of us have relationships to rejection and relationships to anxiety clinging deeper than we need to, more times than not, because we are not familiar with the reality that we have the choice of what we want to feel. More times than not, more times than not, the struggle with the relationship to anxiety and rejection that keeps many of us from being in a place of a rhythm of security is because we don't recognize we have a choice on what we want to feel. You hear it all the time. People get on social media and tell you that you should feel a type of way with certain people doing certain things. I'm here to tell you and burst your bubble just a bit that when you get to this secure air, there are some things some people will do. And some people might look at that and say, man, if I was you, I'd crash out. You look back at them and say, I'm glad I'm not you because that's not where I'm at. You might have found yourself having an issue with that, and I don't. The reason why I don't is because I have a greater capacity for that which has happened. That doesn't mean I welcomed it if it was negative. That doesn't mean I was looking for it if it was negative. What it means is that I've trusted my ability to recover. And because I've trusted my ability to recover, I'm also not expecting dysfunctional people to move functionally. Y'all have when y'all come to these lives, do yourself a favor, grab a notepad, grab a pencil, take some notes. You gonna need it. I got like 6 more minutes and I'm gone. Okay. I do not expect functional, healthy decisions to be made when somebody is constantly performing and behaving in dysfunctional manners. Okay. Thank you for the rose, my guy. I appreciate you a ton, man. You blessing me today, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Cedric. So we are getting into a practice, y'all, where when we recognize we have the ability to feel something different, I would rather feel joyful than constantly sad. And what some of us don't realize is the stories we're telling ourselves is oftentimes what is keeping us in this anxious filled space that we feel we can't get out of. But it's not because of the emotion itself, it's because of the story that we've implemented into the experience that's in front of us. And if we learn the practice of reframing, I'm not saying you're going to get it and go 0 to 100. I'm saying the practice of it, though, is going to actually get you to a closer place of peace than you thinking you need everything else around you to be perfect for you to be okay. Oh, my God, in heaven, in whom I trust. This is nasty work. Okay. So I have to wrap this up. What does this mean when it comes to living a secure life? What does this mean when it comes to embracing a greater rhythm of security? It doesn't mean we don't experience fear. It doesn't mean we don't experience anxiety. It doesn't mean we stop being human. It means that in the case of experiencing an anxious thought, an anxious feeling, an anxious emotion, in the case of experiencing a fearful thought, a fearful experience, a fearful emotion, a fear of rejection, a breakup, a separation, a loss of job, all these things, we learn how to ride the wave of the emotion without being overcome by it, identified in it, and we learn the value of controlling what we can control. Y'all, some of the greatest peace that awaits you isn't just saying no. And I could spend a lot of time on that. It's something your boy has had to learn himself. Peace is not just by you being able to say no, and by you being able to say yes to the things that you have capacity for. Peace that passes all understanding does not just come from you resting in Christ, going to church, reading your Bible, and doing all those things. Great stuff, by the way. I love it. Double down on it. Sometimes the greatest peace that awaits you is when you stop trying to engage in the control freak side of you. When you stop trying to control everybody and everything of being a certain way for you to be okay. The peace that awaits you is oftentimes when you can just allow other people around you to be in their dysfunction. And even if they don't see it, you see it. And the maturity in you to allow them to be where they are without forcing them to be something else for you to be okay is what actually gives you the peace you've been looking for. Sometimes the greatest peace that awaits you is letting go of the need for other people to be a certain way for you to be okay. This is where the freedom is birthed for you to keep living your life and going after what God has put in you instead of constantly chasing and trying to prove to other people why you need to be in their life, why they need to be in your life, why they need to do it a certain way, do it differently, do it this way, do it that way. I've had a lot of release in my life because I've learned that I cannot control everybody around me. Not everybody's going to think the way I do, live the way I do what I do, say how I say. That doesn't make their experiences any less. That doesn't make mine any more. And what gives us the ability to live in harmony and live in fullness without them being exactly like us is recognizing that my peace doesn't come from them being a certain way. My peace doesn't come from getting an answer. My peace doesn't come from them doing something for me that I don't know how to do for me. It doesn't need to engage in that. Some of your greatest wins, y'all, some of your greatest wins is going to be when you remain Clark Kent and you stop playing Superman. Oh, Jesus. I just I I have to get out of here. That's all I wanted to say to you. Sometimes your security, the rhythm of security that you have the ability to build, to grow, and to cultivate is going to show and shine brightest when you stop playing Superman and you remain Clark Kent. Stop putting on that suit. Stop trying to save everybody. You needed saving. That's why Jesus showed up. And ain't it funny how Jesus, the one who had the greatest gift of all humanity, showed up and didn't force anybody to take what he had to offer, even though he knows it's the difference between eternity with him and without him? What makes you think you're so dope that you can force somebody to receive something they don't want or are not ready for? Sometimes your greatest piece is going to be staying Clark Kent and not becoming Superman. Doesn't mean you don't experience anxiousness, fear, and all the things. Security builds a rhythm where you're able to navigate those emotions, not cling to the stories, and shift into something different that allows you to remain aware, remain present, and remain full. I hope this made sense. I'm done. I don't know what's happening in Nigeria, to be honest. Basha, I don't. I'm unfamiliar. Um, I know there's a lot of things happening on that side of the world, though, especially with Christian persecution, and it is not a good thing at all. And I've definitely done my best to support certain causes to help that. And so, yeah, if that's what you're referring to, cool. If not, I have no idea. Again, I appreciate you guys a ton for tuning into this live. I got to get to my session, but I hope all is well. Be sure to go to the top of my page or link in the description for YouTube to be able to one, get your free relational diagnostic. Okay. Bug, I appreciate you a ton, man. I actually don't sell individual sessions. I do everything in programs. Do me a favor though, go to the top of the page, all right, on my TikTok and click the link and be able to take a free relational diagnostic. That'll be your first step to being able to get into some programs that I think will be really, really helpful. Gloriana, I am 26. I hope you are well. Appreciate you a ton. See y'all soon. All right. And send me a message if you have other questions. All right. Y'all take care. If I can find the end button, there it is. Y'all take care. Y'all be easy.